Hey y'all. So y'all want a story time on why I was in county jail, why I went to prison, all that stuff. So I'm going to tell you, I didn't know that video was going to get so many views and so many new followers, but I appreciate you. I'm going to tell you the story, and it's kind of long and lengthy. This is probably going to be a two-parter in order for me to fit everything in there, but I promise that I will do both parts. I got to go to work here in just a few minutes, so I'm going to do part one, then I'll do part two later tonight probably. So just hold tight. Anyway, for starters, I'm 50 and I've earned every fucking year, trust me. But thank you, y'all are sweet. Anyway, so I'm 50. My ex is 15 years older than me, so he's 65. When I first started working at the ambulance district, I believe in 96, he hired me. He was my boss, okay? And also he worked for the police department part-time. He was in a relationship with the assistant administrator of the ambulance district and had been for like 13 years. So he never married her. Now, in all honesty and all fairness, and I can do a story time on that if you want, but he was also married, had her as a girlfriend for 13 years, and then I come in, I'm number 3. I not very smart of me, but Jerry Springer, my life, Jerry Springer, okay? Anyway, so she's like older than him, so she's like 20 years older than me. So he, leaves her for me. We get married, we have a baby. She hates me, rightfully so. And I'm not saying, that everything that I did was, right, because clearly, everybody makes mistakes in their lives, and hindsight's 20/20. But anyway, so in 2007, 2010ish, somewhere around in there, I don't know the exact year, I don't remember, but it was discovered that she had just, I can't even talk. It was discovered that she had embezzled a lot of money from the ambulance district. We were in the red. We were going to have to borrow money at the end of the year, but the accountant did some digging, found it, like she was writing checks or printing stuff out to make it look like she had paid a bill, but then she'd go back in and change the check to her name, I believe, if I understand it all correctly. Regardless of the fact, he said there's no way to know exactly how much she stole, but you can't afford for me to look anyway, but we know it's a significant amount. So the board decided to have her pay back $30,000. It was either $25,000 or $30,000. That would get us out of the red, and her paying back some of the money in order to keep her job and no charges to be filed. They kept it hush hush. They didn't let the employees know. I only knew because my husband was the administrator. So she did like a second mortgage, I think, on her son's grandmother's house, and she paid the money back, which got us out of the red. And then she had to relinquish her assistant administrator, and then she became just a transfer paramedic and put me over her, which that right there was just a knife in the heart for her, I'm sure. So then she kept her job, like I said, kept insurance and stuff like that. She was in her mid-50s, I think, at the time. Anyway, all the employees, they weren't stupid. And not only that, but some of the board members, would say things in confidence to the employees, which they'd all talk about. So they all talked about her. They all knew something was up. And they pretty well knew that she was, taking money. So they talked really bad about her behind her back. So 2013, I get a credit card out of my husband's wallet and had his name on it, and I go shopping, right? 2 weeks later, the ambulance district called, and they're like, hey, we're trying to get some supplies, but the card's not working. So he pulls the card out and, going to call, and I'm like, hey, I used that card the other day. And he's like, fuck. He's like, Charli, this is the ambulance district's credit card. And I was like, well, I didn't fucking know. Why does it have your name on it? And he said, because I'm the boss. And I'm like, but why is it in your wallet? I thought the credit cards were kept in the safe at work. And he was like, he used it for something. So I said, okay, we are going to pay back every single penny, not just our part, but the ambulance district's part. And then we're going to be honest. I didn't want everybody, I didn't want little bits and pieces to be said here and there and everybody to come to their own conclusions. I wanted them to hear it from us. I wanted to be honest about it. And so we held an employee meeting, which was probably my demise, held an employee meeting and told them, what happened. Here is the bill. Here is the canceled check if you want to see it. Here's where it was paid. Those who wanted to look at it did. Those who didn't. But we were honest about it, okay? So fast forward to like 2016. So real quick, back up. When she relinquished her position, she did all the payroll and all the bills and stuff like that. My husband took over, and things were in such better shape that we built a $3.2 million building. So we had money, okay? We went from being negative to having money. So she said she had called the highway patrol and told the highway patrol that he was getting paid for hours, that he was paying himself for hours he wasn't working, and that she had taken money, but that he made her do it. So they launch a big investigation and into him and I, and into the ambulance district. They did a forensic audit, and in the forensic audit is when they come across my credit card bill, right? Well, and to be fair, in all honesty, I was an opiate addict, and so December 15th of 2007, my husband gets up to take our youngest and her best friend to school, and before he gets home, my oldest comes in. She was 19, and she was like, "Mom, there's somebody at the door wanting to talk to you." Well, or I think she might have told me it was a federal agent. I don't remember. The FBI was at the door. So she's in my bedroom. I'm trying to get clothes. Well, she's calling her dad. We didn't know they already had him in the car outside, and they had his phone, so they see him calling. So they bust in, or see her calling him. So they bust in the room, right? And full SWAT team, the helmets and the vests, and I got arrested with 6 guns to my back, and I'm like, I'm just a fucking paramedic. Like, honestly, I thought I was being arrested from buying pills. That's what I thought I was being arrested for. And I'm like, what the fuck, So I put clothes on. They take me to the bathroom. Like I have a female FBI agent telling me everywhere until we get out, and I see him in the driveway, and I'm like, where's his truck? And they're like, up at the top of the road. And I was like, really? You couldn't let him pull down the driveway? And she was like, hey, we didn't do it in town. And I was like, aren't you so fucking sweet? Like, I was a bitch. Anyway, I was like, where's she? We'll call her Carol. Where's Carol? And she was like, you just need to worry about you. And I'm like, get Carol here. Anyway, so they take us to a different county, and they question us, right? And they're telling me, your husband is a police officer. He's abusing his power. He's making his women steal money. And I was like, he didn't make me steal any money. Like, I don't see that. Like, she's the one that stole money. Where is she? And so they told us, that she said that he, she did so money, but that he had her do it. So they're like, you're just a woman scorned. He's having you do his dirty work. And I'm like, I didn't steal any money, but I used the credit card, but I paid it back. And they're like, you could rob a bank of 10 grand, and you could take the money back, but you still robbed the bank. And I was like, okay. And they're like, but we don't want you. He's the big fish. You're just a little fish. You're just the woman scorned, but we need some information. So we've got you on this credit card charge. So if you will answer some questions for us and tell us a few things, like, we won't charge you. And I was like, charge me. I have nothing to say. That's my husband. Looking back, hindsight's 2020. I didn't really know anything anyway, because I was just a fucking paramedic, but whatever. I thought I was being the noble wife, and so they charged me. We both get taken up to the federal court building in St. Louis, and we get booked and held in a cell all day. We get put in, go in front of the judge. His family was there. We were, in Oranges, I think it was. And I told him, he had 7 charges. I only had the 1. And I told the judge, she said, you guys are going to be co-defendants, and that can be very expensive. And I was like, he can have the attorney. I'll take a public defender, Well, when it came time to go home, we got released on $100,000 bond of our own recognizance, like we're fucking murderers or something. And he sent me home with the girls, and he went home with his family. Like, was not concerned about how I was, how the day went for me. He was only worried about his own ass. Then he paid, he had just gotten money from his parents' estate selling, and he took like $25,000 or $30,000 of that money and put on a big high-profile attorney for himself, and left me with a public defender. And that's where I'm going to stop and go to part 2, but I got to go to work, so I'll get back to that. I love you.